even if you're a Bill Gates fan, recognize he's lying to you. I'm not saying that climate change isn't a problem. What I'm saying is they don't care about it. The only thing they care about is reducing the amount of commodities used and reducing the amount of people that are using them. But definitely put that on your watch list, because I think that's the best way to go long political stupidity.
Red Pill economist George Gammon has a unique take on economic issues as he looks at them from a conspiratorial, or as he likes to call it, a critical thinking frame. Unlike most economists, Gammon is bravely outspoken on his controversial views of the political elite that he believes are architecting the current economic collapse that many economists are aware of but are fearful of speaking out against. Not only does he expose the secret Malthusian plans of the political elite that include population control and accumulation of power, he reveals why commodities could be the best performing asset during this era of political stupidity. Despite his viewpoints that may appear radical, his use of hard evidence makes it difficult to refute his alternative claims.
All the smart pros that I know are talking about the commodity space. Now, it might be gold, it might be oil, uranium, coal, lead, but this is what they're talking about, this long-term super cycle. Now, this is an older chart. It probably goes back to 2018 or so. Since this time, we've come up substantially. But as you can see, these long-term super cycles last, call it 10, 15 years. So what's my favorite, and what have I discussed with other professionals that they're keen on as well? Well, coal, and it's run quite significantly, as you can see. But a lot of people are waiting for a pullback. Go ahead and buy at a better price, because they know that once these things start to run, and you can see it started to run in, call it 2020, 2021, they don't just go for a year or two. They go for 6, 8, usually over 10 years. And a good example of that would be lead back in the early 2000s. I think that if you can see this chart here, we're probably somewhere right around here or right around here in terms of coal. So it's just knowing when to buy when everyone else is selling, and then riding the next explosive wave higher. So when do you do that? Well, as far as timing, who knows? Nobody knows exactly, but some of the things you can look for is the 3-month inversion with the 10-year as far as the treasuries. So this is just the 10-year yield minus the 3-month. So when that goes negative, that implies there's an inversion of the curve. So as you guys know, the 2-year and the 10-year, 95% probability, but it doesn't give you much timing. It could be 18 months, 24 months, 12 months, but this is a little bit better for timing. And then really the insider intel, and I got this from my good buddy Jeff Snyder, all you guys know who he is to compare the nominal or the existing 2-year treasury yield with the, ready for this, write this down, fitted instantaneous forward rate 2 years hence. But this is basically the market predicting with some sort of algorithm what the interest rates are going to be 2 years out. So when this is trading under the actual current 2-year treasury, that's another signal that most likely the Fed is going to be reversing course, just like this inversion of the curve between the 3-month and the 10-year. So if I'm timing this, what I want to do is buy T-bills right now, just keep rolling them over, very little counterparty risk, less than a bank, and you're getting 3-4%. And maybe roll them over once a month, maybe roll them over once every 3 months or so, keep the powder dry. And once you see one of these indicators, then you go ahead and cash them out, or maybe even better, you would buy them at that time if you're kind of speculating. And then you would wait until the Fed drops rates. That typically, or that usually, is going to mean the commodity prices are coming down due to a recession or some sort of black swan event. You sell your treasuries, you probably have a capital gain there, and you take that dry powder and go ahead and buy the commodities for the long term and just ride that cycle up. But again, I think what I'm trying to say is a lot of the pros, they're talking about commodities, but they're not being completely forthright with why they like commodities.
In order to fully understand the future price of commodities, you must understand the goals of the people in power of the world, or the political elite. If you can understand their desires, the smokescreen clears and the world today makes more sense, and the future becomes more predictable, allowing you to make better investment strategies. If today's episode was helpful, then please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can watch tomorrow's video where Bitcoin evangelist Dan Held reveals the secret concept that will be the difference between Bitcoin taking over the world or failing miserably.
You guys probably know the term Malthusian. So the gist of his ideas kind of summed up in this sentence. Malthus argued there are 2 types of checks hold population within resource limits. Positive check, would be, oh, just simply raise the death rate. Preventative ones lower the birth rate. And the positive checks include hunger, disease, war. And you say, oh, George, well, the global elite haven't adopted this. This is just this Malthus guy way back in 1834. No one today is really talking about reducing the population or reducing global population growth. All right. Let's go ahead and cut to the next video. And this is from everybody's favorite computer geek, Bill Gates.
As we make the world healthier, is the population going to get so big that feeding everybody and maintaining the environment is going to be impossible? We go from less than 1 billion in 1800, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.4 billion where we are today. So Melinda and I wondered whether providing new medicines and keeping children alive, would that create more of a population problem? What we found out is that as health improves, families choose to have less children. Now, 11 billion people, still a lot, but the good news is that the faster we improve health, the faster family size goes down. And so we can feel great about saving those lives.
Even if you're a Bill Gates fan, recognize he's lying to you right there. I don't know if you guys caught the lie, but he said that historically what happens when people get healthier, they have fewer kids. Wrong. No, that is not true. It's not when they get healthier. It's when they get richer. So why did he switch it up? Why did he spin that? Because if you're going to say people get richer, then what do they require? They require more energy. Well, you'll notice that this chart is almost identical to a chart of population growth. And these two charts would be almost identical to a chart of global GDP growth. So like my good buddy Art Berman says, energy is the economy. And if you would not have had this exponential rise in the availability of energy, you would not have had an exponential rise in the population growth or the standard of living for that matter. And we think renewables are great, but you notice they always say they're trying to replace fossil fuels. No. We don't need to replace the existing energy. We need to add to it if we're going to maintain or improve the standard of living of not just the people in the United States and Europe, but the poor countries in Africa, South America, and in Asia. But what I want to point out is these people will always push, let's say, climate change, but this has nothing to do with climate change. It has everything to do with too few resources and too many people. But they can't just come right out and say that, hey, we're Marxists that favor genocide and eugenics. Go ahead and do exactly what we say. Trust me, these lockdowns, they're for your own good. Trust me, this medicine that we're requiring you to take, oh, trust me, that's for your own good. Not too many people would believe them if they came right out and stated exactly what they are. It's a tough sell. So they need some good marketing. So what was the marketing concept they came up with? The good old Club of Rome in 1991. And one of their books, kind of like a how-to guide, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. Look at the world today, whether it's the policies towards Russia, the lockdowns in 2020, you've got to ask yourself, okay, is what they are pushing, whether it's the mainstream media, these central planners, does this create a world where we use less energy or more energy? We've got the sanctions against Russia, which will most likely create food shortages in many of these poor countries. Interesting, isn't it? That this just happens to be the objective. The explicit objective of a lot of these people is to decrease population growth. Well, I can guarantee you, one thing that will do that quickly is food shortages. Another thing that will do it very quickly is World War III. I don't know what prices are going to do in the next year, but over the long run, there's going to be significant constraints on supply of commodities due to these psychopaths, these sociopaths, these megalomaniacs that are in power today.
You doing anything on the equity side? You buying any stocks here?
No, I mean, I think the best thing people can do right now, if I had to give them some advice, is just understand that we're going into an age, the golden age of political stupidity. And so if you can take the other side of these political mistakes that we see out of the Biden administration or Trudeau up in Canada, I think you'll do well. And I heard another one of your earlier guests talk about commodities. I truly believe we're in a long-term commodity super cycle for the next 10, maybe 15 years. I'm not saying buy now,
Right.
but definitely put that on your watch list,
Right.
because I think that's the best way to go long political stupidity.
I highly recommend you check out this video where famous geopolitical strategist Peter Zeihan reveals how demographics will totally shape the investing landscape for the next several years. Click this video now.